Hello and welcome to Hyperspace Hangout, a podcast by Star Wars fans for Star Wars fans. I am Matt Starwind.
And I am Ezra Skyhopper. Welcome aboard The Outcast. This is the place for all Star Wars fans where we discuss your thoughts and theories about a galaxy far, far away.
As we are 4 episodes into Star Wars The Bad Batch, what are you thinking so far?
I don't know. I'm okay with it. I'm enjoying it. It's chill. It's really chill. It's easy going. The most recent episode was probably my favorite. I think what I like about these are the little tiny nods to things like episode 2 and episode 5 and the color scheme and just sort of the backdrop and all of that, which has been kind of cool. I'm still intrigued by Omega, and
Omega.
It's Omega, and I actually love that that little accent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, I don't know. There's really not been much. I mean, we're learning about the Empire. We're learning about the chain codes and all that good stuff. The new setup. And now we have a new layer with Finnick, which we'll talk about. But overall, it's been kind of not slow, but it's close to slow. Yeah. And we're used to going, we're traveling through hyperspace. So, I mean,
Mandalorian season 1, I felt like we were also like, this is kind of slow. But Mandalorian season 1 came out like with Rise of Skywalker, so it was like much is happening at once, and then Clone Wars came out like immediately following it, and so it was just all at once. And then we got Mando season 2, and it was just hyperdrive the entire time. So yeah, this does feel a little bit slower, I suppose. I liked this last episode that we got to see Finnick, right? Episode 3, we can kind of breeze through that. Really not a lot happened other than maybe, I mean, it was cute, Wrecker, he makes Omega kind of her own place on the ship. She kind of completes the mission. So that was kind of cool, just her becoming part of the team. And then possibly Wrecker kind of hurt his head. Does that set off his inhibitor chip? We saw that the clone troopers starting to get phased out, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Lamsu, maybe they got plans to do something else. So that could be interesting. There's a lot of places we can go that are interesting, just where we're at currently. But yeah, this last episode with Finnick, hey, she's back. I mean, technically, this is her Star Wars debut, if you want to think of it in terms of
chronologically, yeah.
All right, yeah. She's working with somebody. Who is it? So people are already speculating Boba Fett, right? Maybe we'll see young Boba Fett, which would be cool in the Bad Batch. I think that'd be awesome. And I do think at some point we will. I definitely think we'll see Boba Fett at some point in this thing. Maybe even this season, actually. It wouldn't surprise me if we get a little bit of that, which then will give us a little bit of something to hold on to in Book of Boba, right? But yeah, I mean, I like where the series is good. I like this, let's say, way more than like High Republic in terms of like new Star Wars content and sort of what it's giving us in the overall universe. More so just because this feels more connected than like High Republic does. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, I don't think it's not bad or anything like that. It's just kind of like, still waiting for that first, like, oh my God episode, right? Like Mandalorian season 2, episode 3, we got, episode 1 was, we got Cobb Vanth, the Great Dragon. This is cool. Episode 2, my favorite episode, the eggs, and the Republic Commandos kind of come in, or the Starfighters come in. Episode 3 is Bo-Katan, and we're like, oh man, things are gonna get serious. But really, it was like, it was the Ahsoka episode where, like, okay, everything's changed.
Yeah.
So we're still just kind of waiting on something that's like gonna push us to that, like, okay, now we can see what's gonna be a bigger sort of deal here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, yeah, we've set the stage here. We've learned enough. We've gotten Omega closer to the Bad Batch, and they're thinking about Crosshair and what happened to him. And they're on the run, learning about the new Empire and trying to figure out, I think, their place in all of this. And now there's this extra layer with Fennec and the Bounty Hunters Guild being involved in the capture of Omega. So who's behind all of that? I actually wouldn't mind at some point we'll get into maybe just kind of proposing a couple different ideas on who that could be, like who she's communicating with, just while we, might as well get into some wild speculation here in a little bit, because Boba Fett, okay, but could it be someone else, something more? I think there's possibilities, but yeah, it seems like we're on the precipice of this kind of taking off, you know what I mean, and finding out like that big moment that you're talking about. I think we're close to that. So yeah.
Yeah. So ultimately, I think this season, um, I think the big things that we'll ultimately uncover probably by the end of this season are, I think we'll see something to do with their next plan, right? Whatever their next plan, whatever their next plan is going to be. You know who it could be? I'll go ahead and say it. It could be Grogu, for all we know.
Grogu, yeah. I mean, yeah, like that could be something with the cloners.
Are we going to see a Dr. Pershing? Right.
Yeah. Or someone who he's really like his like Dr. Pershing Senior too, or whatever, or some type of connection. We got to get more with the cloners and figure out what they are going to do, because they seem to be, they want to preserve their business and they want to preserve the need for clones. Right. How do they do that? What's their angle?
Do we know? I mean, is there? It's certainly in none of the books I've read, or certainly I don't think in Rebels or anything like that, we go back to Kamino. Do we? Is there anything
in Rebels?
In canon? No, I'm just thinking like Rebels. Mandalorian. It seems like the cloning stuff's kind of coming back, but I don't think we go to Kamino in any of the Star Wars canon novels, certainly none of the ones I've read. So do we really know what happens to Kamino sort of after the Clone Wars? I'm sure in comics we do, but just nothing off the top of my head. I can pull it up.
Yeah, not that I can recall, not that I really know or remember, because that was kind of a cool connection in The Mandalorian, was to bring up the cloners and have some tie-ins there. So if you go to the Imperial era, it just basically says
what we've seen in Bad Batch.
Yep.
So this is all going to be this is going to be all new stuff. I mean, really, the only thing I think we get a little bit of is Dr. Pershing clearly has some sort of connection, but that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he saw, let's see, the pirate Hondo Anaka says that he noted fewer Kaminoans in the galaxy at some point. So the cloning facilities, here's what might actually happen. Here's just a crazy thought and speculation. Maybe they do get onto something, or maybe they do get into some type of cloning that Emperor Palpatine is very interested in, and they either know how important it is, or he doesn't want the secret to fall into somebody else's hands, or whatever. They could be playing with fire on that water planet of theirs, concerning Emperor Palpatine. So that might be an interesting angle to consider, because they're fighting for their own survival, really trying to figure out what to do with all these extra clones. Remember, there was a clone that they said was going to come back, the original source material. Didn't they say something like that? Like the original specimen? I thought they said something like that in the first couple episodes. That, but I don't know what really that was alluding towards, whether it was Omega or one of Jango's gone. So I don't know if what they were really talking about there, but
right.
Yeah.
So something interesting here is this episode. What is the status of Project War Mantle? Right, is said. And War Mantle is one of the things. Again, are we just going to keep going back to Rogue One and like all of the secret stuff that she's looking up? But War Mantle is one of the things. War Mantle, Cluster Prism, Black Saber, Stardust. So it is.
Yeah.
It is one of the. It is one of the things that Jyn Erso sees when she's sifting through the files.
Okay. Was there anything? So what was that called again?
War Mantle.
War Mantle. Okay.
Yeah. It's what one of the guys says when he's asking Tarkin. He says Project War Mantle, right? He says, what is the status of it? And I think it's the episode 3, right, when they're talking. Project War Mantle was an initiative by the Galactic Empire enacted soon after its founding that sought to fill out the ranks of the Imperial Army with conscripted human soldiers, a departure from the clone army. So it's just part of that, basically. Hey, we're gonna get rid of the clones and start to do something that may ultimately turn into the Dark Troopers, or like the Phase 1 Dark Troopers, or the Black Troopers, right, where they go like the full black.
Yeah.
How whatever, they may end up changing some of that stuff if they're going to do Dark Troopers more as the clones, but whatever. And so that's this, but they did kind of cool connection to pull that from Rogue One.
Right. Yeah. And that's maybe that's what Bad Batch is going to be about, is kind of finding, making some of these other connections to projects and seeing, because when in Rebels you get like Thrawn's secret like project and him fighting for the TIE interceptor and things like that. So different people are pushing their projects and their initiatives with Emperor Palpatine trying to win his favor and things like that. So that could be, maybe we're going to see more of that. Or maybe this is all centered around one project, just being the Stormtrooper, group here. So, yeah. I thought
you think we see Thrawn?
Yeah, I don't. No.
Maybe later.
That's maybe later. I don't know. They're younger Thrawn. That would be interesting. You know who I thought about, and I'm going to jump to some speculation here, just with you.
Let's go.
I'm thinking about other groups and other factions that are working right now. How is it that a bounty hunter already has intel on Omega? Who leaked? Like, are the Kaminoans after Omega? Like, did Kamino hire their own bounty hunter to get back this, defective or modified clone because of her importance? Or is there another, crime syndicate out there like Crimson Dawn? And if we're going to get into force sensitive stuff and possibly trying to, if Emperor Palpatine's interested in it, maybe Darth Maul for a time is interested in it. There's other factions, and they could also bring in some other, new kind of group or whatever that would be interested in this. One of the Moffs or something, they can go almost any direction with this. There's a lot of open space here, if you will. So I'm intrigued to see, just what, who it is that Fennec is working for. I know people said Boba Fett, and I'm thinking about Boba Fett going, why would in Legends, Boba Fett was worried about his cells deteriorating and like, just issues with his body and it breaking down. And so he went back to Kamino and he tried to kind of, figure some of it out. So early on, though, is this something that Boba Fett's trying to fix or just wants to get more intel on, or is realizing that this individual is associated with his father's project and wants to get a hold of Omega? Like, why would Boba Fett want to get Omega?
Right. At this point in time, I thought that it was. I thought in Legends, and again, you could change things. I thought in Legends that it was much later in Boba Fett's life where he felt like his cells were deteriorating. Yeah. I mean, right now he's still young.
Way later. Yeah, he's old. Yeah.
because where we're at right now, we saw Boba Fett. I think you see him pretty recently in a Clone Wars episode, right? Or
Yeah.
wasn't he and not Cobb Vanth? He and Cad Bane. I always mix their names up.
Yeah.
Weren't they supposed to have a duel? And
Yes.
I don't think it happened. Ended up happening. Yeah,
Right.
it didn't happen on screen.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So to me, if Boba Fett wants to go get this individual, Boba Fett's just going to go get this individual. He is the bounty hunter. He's just
Right.
going to go do it. So that's where I'm thinking, like, if you threw Boba Fett out of there and you said, okay, it's not going to be Boba Fett, but who is it that Fennec is reporting back to? I mean, it could be Palpatine. You know, Darth Vader gets together a whole batch of bounty hunters and uses them in episode 5. Why not do a big, a one big job for Palpatine and use Fennec? Also, Fennec is, bounty hunter. I think it wasn't in The Mandalorian. Wasn't she labeled more as an assassin too? I know, right? In this, she's trying to acquire Omega and didn't kill her or whatever, but
I'm sure she does both. I'm sure
Yeah.
she does both.
yeah,
She's gonna do it whoever pays. I mean, you see her in The Mandalorian, sort of, in Jabba's palace. It's like she seems like, I'm gonna do whatever pays.
yeah,
I think if somebody pays her to assassinate, cool. Somebody pays her to go kidnap, that's cool too.
yeah. Right. Okay. So yeah, I just kind of think I would like to see it go one of those options, like to see Kamino working towards getting Omega back, Crimson Dawn, or Emperor Palpatine, or
Because I think Kamino would want her back, but I don't think Kamino hired Fennec, because I think that that, to me, it's they got to be very careful about it, because I think they want her back, but I think they also don't want the Empire to know that they have her back.
yeah, for sure. Well, I mean,
until they all leave Kamino.
Right. And so is Omega then like their future? I mean, like, is that the future of their cloning operation? They're trying to, because they're realizing that the other clone troopers are going to be decommissioned, and they're trying to,
Right.
They're in their last kind of phase or whatever, and maybe they'll be used, but they'll be under the command of your new recruits.
I don't know that Omega is their future, because she's technically a clone of somebody, whether it's Jango Fett or not. So I think they need a new source. People have speculated on that dead, the dead Jedi we see on the cart in episode 1 of the Bad Batch. Maybe they try to do something there. Maybe they get another one, right? That could be a thing. Again, I'm still I wouldn't toss out the idea of Grogu. If they get him for a little bit. I mean, if you want to tie stuff in, I mean, I'm telling you, if you want to sell a bunch of merchandise of cartoon baby Yoda Grogu, there's a lot of money to be made there.
Right.
And we know at some point he's involved with Dr. Pershing, trying to do some cloning. Is Kamino the ones that do the cloning of Palpatine that turns into his sort of children, right? Like Rey's grandfather is a clone. Is that Palpatine doing it on his own? Or is that him hiring Kamino to No, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, because he makes Snoke on his own.
No, I'm not laughing at that.
But or is it like...
Yeah, I'm laughing at the image of Omega that standing like Palpatine. Right. Have you seen that? Like the meme where it's Palpatine and Omega standing
and the
identical.
Hair.
Yeah, and the hair. And then you have and then what Omega is doing is like imitating Hunter, even in this most recent.
That's
episode.
a great. Have you seen what? If you haven't watched that, go watch it, because it's real. It's cute. It's like she's a kid and she's learning all this stuff the first time, and
right. She does it again in this most recent episode, and I kind of thought that'd be a one-time thing. That does it again, and is not really doing it with the other ones. Really, just Hunter and kind of she has different types of relationships with.
It's all. And it's all subtle stuff too. It's not like she's imitating him. Like, if you didn't watch the episode, she's not like imitating, like making fun of him or whatever. But it's like, it's normally it's in scenes where there's like a bunch of people, and like Hunter will like sort of cross his arms, and then like if you just pay close attention to Omega, she's kind of like looking at Hunter, and then she'll kind of like mirror him. So like she'll cross her arms too. So it's really well done, actually. It's very subtle. and I never would have caught on to it had somebody not pointed it out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's this appreciation for the Bad Batch, and she's close to them and wants to be with them. And now she's in and out on this journey. Um, let's talk about the Bad Batch just a little bit more, because Wrecker, these last couple episodes, has been having some issues. He got wrecked in this episode by Fennec, and he's having some head issues, some head trauma. Crosshair's dealing with it. Do you think maybe one by one, the Bad Batch might just start to kind of eventually that inhibitor chip is going to cause some problems?
I do. I think Wrecker's going to be the first one, and then probably Tick, will be the next one, and I think ultimately it's going to come down to like Hunter having to say. I mean, I think even I don't even think Crosshair is going to be a villain the whole series.
Yeah,
I actually would be surprised if he's a villain past season 1. I think they'll kind of get it all fixed, and it's going to be all them working together against sort of the Empire, and they're going to do their own thing, because eventually, I mean, they're going to want to phase the clones out.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then so that there's the question. Like, I think before Bad Batch came out, I kind of thought, what is it gonna be ultimately about? Like now I'm realizing it's really just telling a story about the Empire, getting some of those early days and understanding the shift away from the Republic and into the Empire, and understanding the dynamics, and then this whole layer of cloning and Omega. But outside of that, there's no great stories, or doesn't seem to be a huge tie-in with like Hunter. We don't know where Hunter ends up going, his story. Did they all sacrifice themselves for Omega, who is still out there? Yeah.
Have you seen the tweet from the people who did the score, the soundtrack, and they said that like the final episode is just like so emotional, it's like heartbreaking.
What?
Yeah.
Gosh. Wow. I mean, so then it must be there's going to be some sacrifice. We're going to lose one of the Bad Batch members. That one of them's going to die, or they're all going to.
I don't know that we're going to lose one in season 1, but yeah.
Matt, well, what would cause it to be that heart wrenching?
I don't know.
There's the one of them's got to go down. It's a story of loss, man.
It can't be Hunter.
No, it's not Hunter.
You can't lose Hunter. He's like the lead.
It's probably Wrecker. Wrecker seems to be the one who, like,
you
emotionally
can't kill out Wrecker's too big of a Wrecker's. Remember, this is aimed at kids. Kids love Wrecker because he's funny. He's big.
I know.
He's clumsy. He trips into stuff. I'm gonna wreck.
Right.
No, you can't lose her. You can lose Tech way before you can lose Wrecker.
Yeah. It just makes you like wonder who is it that is gonna, provide that sacrifice or whatever to get them to get them with the Rebel Alliance? Are they gonna be a part of the group that kind of starts some of that? I mean,
well, they've already met with Saw Gerrera a little bit.
Is Cassian Andor gonna show up in this somewhere? Like,
maybe. There's a lot of leaked set photos of that.
Oh, are there? Yeah. Nice.
But it doesn't really show anything. I'm still on that series. I'm still kind of.
Yeah, well, and that's how we are with this. I mean, with Bad Batch, it's like, okay, it's an animated series. It's a bit more. It's following this group, but I guarantee there is going to come an episode where we're going to get sucked in here, and it's going to be like, wow, this is awesome.
It's now executive producer. It's now executive LucasArts creative director Dave Filoni's show. Can we give him a round of applause?
Yeah. I heard that was old though. I heard that
I know it is old.
Which cool.
Finally, he's on the council. We
wow.
Yeah, we grant
unlike
him
Anakin,
the rank of Disney finally gave in and gave him the rank of master. Everyone thinks Kathleen Kennedy's fired. She's not fired, by the way. She's still totally employed. I think he just got promoted. But
And she probably promoted him.
No, I mean, even going back and thinking about Star Wars Rebels season 1, like season 1, because I watched it and I was like, okay, whatever. You get to the end of season 1 and you're like, oh man, this is really good. And then you get to season 2 and you're just like, Dave Filoni's a season 2 guy. It's all like, and all of the stuff we look at now, we're like, this is dumb. None of this matters. Later we'll be like, it's all connected, it's all, it's like space whales in Rebels. What? I mean,
I know. I know. Well,
and, you remember those from that one random episode? Here we go,
bringing them back. And that is what's cool about it. And I hope that all these different planets, and we haven't really gone through any of the Easter eggs, but there are tons of them. I mean, Rasper 6 is a Legends reference in here. Pantora, the planet that they go to is pretty cool. Just some of these various things.
His name? The guy Cut, right, from Clone Wars. That's a total time. We've seen Finnick. We haven't seen anything that's like major yet.
Yeah. I just mean, like, are all these things going to be a tie-in, or they're going to be important? There's going to be little things, nuggets that we look back and we go, okay, now that's making more sense. This ties in here. There's like been numerous references to a doll, right? So reminds you of Rogue One, Jyn Erso. Even reminds you a little bit of like Rey kind of having her like little thing in The Force Awakens. So I think did Omega not say hello there in this most recent episode to the little kind of animal thingy? I think I don't know what it was. It was this little thing. I'm pretty sure she picks up. It's like a barking pet in a cart. She walks up to them and she says one of the most famous Star Wars lines ever. Hello there. So Obi-Wan connections. Here we go.
People think it's because she was there. He was there. They could have some of his DNA, and because all we know is that she's Bad Batch. We don't know if she's Jango Fett or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because they haven't said like they've said you're one of us, but they haven't said like you're our sister, which technically she should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The word like these, you're my brothers, or you're like, or we're sister, or any of that stuff. Like we're all, clone. Like they haven't like totally said we're like the same. Like like it's kind of like we're all Bad Batch. Like it. So yeah, I think I don't think she's a Jango clone. Also, what's her power?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Right? They all have different things.
Yeah, what's her modification? What's her enhancement or whatever? We've yet to kind of figure that out. I somehow I think because she's closer to Hunter and she's been kind of with him the most, and she goes with him on missions, right? You see her go out and search for a power converter, and then you see her go here with him to kind of get some credits and stuff. So she's always with him. So, and he kind of feels like this hyper skilled, tracking individual. I don't know. It makes me think that she's going to have possibly more than one skill, like she's going to be enhanced in a way. I don't know. Maybe it just hasn't happened.
I think if she is Force sensitive, I don't think they know.
Yeah. Who, the cloners?
I don't know that the Kaminoans know that she's, yeah. Because they say that she was like a medical assistant. So maybe they're going to add and do some more Force healing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We shall see. That's probably going to be the big.
And she sacrifices herself.
Oh, geez, don't even. No, Omega's everything in this. Like
that could be the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. That would be wild. That'd be one and done. That season would be over. Bad Batch is done. Bad Batch is bad at that point. Okay. If Omega dies, come on now. Here, how about this though? Let's talk real quick about. So keep making these connections to the Mandalorian, but you know how the Mandalorian, when you have Frog Lady there, and you get that Empire Strikes Back vibe and the color scheme and the orange glowing light with the blue and things like that. This episode definitely had a throwback to Zam Wesell, kind of the assassin who's like shooting at Padme and Anakin and Obi-Wan, or pursuing through Coruscant. totally that. I mean, there's so many different nods to that that I thought it's cool. It's pulled off really well, and yeah, it was just neat. Like the same type of taxi cars and like our speeders, and then the color scheme was the same. Even the way they fell and rolled, and like all of that was pretty much right out of Attack of the Clones, which to me was a
It was great.
layer
Yeah,
that
it was a
yeah, while you're building towards whatever we're building towards, I guess you give Star Wars fans these little nuggets, like you did a Sullustan in here at the docking bay, and there were a couple other alien individuals, like the cantina scene in Episode 4. They're always trying to weave in those alien creatures into a docking bay attendant or a shop owner or whatever, and they definitely do that. So those are nice, and then for kids, yeah, you're still laughing at Wrecker, who's running around trying to find Omega and do whatever. And we're all like, oh, it's Fennec Shan, so we think that's cool. But this is just another kind of, scary, cool individual that kids get to kind of watch. So it's just really, it's just big setup, man. It's just all set up right now for something big. Gotta be. What's the point of doing this? What's the point of doing Bad Batch?
Right. So if we pull up the Bad Batch trailer, I'm going to pull up the Bad Batch trailer and see what exactly have we actually seen. Because there's totally the shot of her with like what some people are saying might be like a Night Sisters crossbow, by the way.
Yeah.
Said it looks similar to something like that. Is this the one? No, that's from December 10th. We did not. This is the one I want with Omega. Yeah, see, we've seen a lot. We've already seen a lot of this stuff. Actually, this is what they do. Tarkin. Okay, there's them kind of flying away from stuff. Okay, but that we haven't seen. We haven't seen them on a desert planet, and I think that is Rex, isn't it? I think that is.
Yeah, in the trailer.
There's like a shot of them on a desert planet. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to pull up the trailer. I
yeah. It looks at, and then she's got a crossbow. So there's still some stuff we haven't seen. This is like them. That looks like them on Naboo.
Yeah.
Saw Gerrera. Now, okay, we just watched this with Fennec.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's not a lot left in the trailer that we haven't seen yet. So that's ultimately where we're at. We know that at some point she gets a crossbow or a bow and she's shooting it at somebody, and then it looks like we meet up with Rex at some point.
Gotcha. Well, and that's yeah. So you meet up with Rex for like, where are they going, Matt? What are they trying to? Are they just trying to run? Like, where
I think they are right now. I think they're just figuring it out because they just started.
They're just on the run. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because right now, currently, yes, they are.
Gotcha. Yep. Just on the run.
It's going to turn into something. And we already met we already met Saw Gerrera, so I think that slowly, I think we're gonna, who knows? But the next time we record, we might be like, wow, we watch one more episode and we get a little bit of peace, but. Yeah, I think ultimately it's going to turn to them sort of against the Empire. But we know the Rebel Alliance is nowhere close to being formed yet. So is it just the early stages of it? Does the Bad Batch die and then Omega goes with like Saw Gerrera?
Yeah. Yeah, could be.
And then what happens to her?
All right. And then you get into the whole Ezra Bridger situation where it's like, who is this person who was so important that wasn't around during the Galactic Civil War, or wasn't, 4, 5, and 6? Where did they go? What happened? And there'll be a story to tell there as well. Like same thing with Grogu. Grogu's been captured.
Do you think Omega is alive? Do you think Omega is alive during times of the Mandalorian, or do you think she dies before that?
Oh no, I think she's alive. I think there's got to be some sort of tie-in. There's got to be,
So then you're gonna have to. So then we'll have to explain why she wasn't, or maybe she did fight in the Galactic Civil War, but it just wasn't as big. She wasn't this like major Luke Skywalker type character who we get to see.
Yeah, or she was imprisoned by Emperor Palpatine and was studied or whatever. I mean, that could be the case, that she just lives on through that, and she's at a Palpatine observatory, or there was a planet back in Legends called Wayland where you could, have someone. I mean, Palpatine had like clones and had different individuals set up on planets operating kind of under, for working for him, and also just under his influence. So yeah, there's tons of possibilities. It's just sort of, you're gonna. I think it would be cool if she ended up being something in the Mandoverse, and you've got Fennec, and you've got a connection to Boba Fett and Jango and the clones and all that kind of stuff. So why not? There's a connection to Kamino. That's someone else who can come in here and talk about Grogu. Could maybe talk about what happened during all of this Order 66. That's the big mystery when we're talking to Ahsoka and Grogu in The Mandalorian. We're saying, okay, what happened? Grogu's trying to tell us, and we're learning through Ahsoka. So now if you walk in Omega, who can explain some of what actually transpired on Kamino and start putting some of the pieces together, or why Dr. Pershing is involved in all of this, then there we go. We're starting to connect some of the dots. So I think she's really, really important. And I think they designed the character to be something in the Mandoverse. But I'm also crazy, and I love to have everything connected. So
that's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna pull up. Yeah, see, we don't know. I'm pulling up the voice actress for her to see if there's anything we can kind of see. She's a New Zealand voice actress.
Oh, nice. I kept saying Australian, and so there you go. There's staying corrected there.
Yeah, she's actually she's Indonesian Chinese descent, but she is from New Zealand. So
nice.
There we go. That works. That goes, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's nothing really about she does a lot of voice work. She's in stuff, so I don't really see anything that leads me to kind of get like any more Star Wars sort of vibes into what she's doing. There's no sort of teasers on her Twitter or anything like that, so it's hard to say. It's just hard to say where we're at right now with the Bad Batch. I think a lot of people are kind of like,
Yeah, that's what I said. For a time, you just have to kind
nobody
of enjoy.
thinks it's bad. It's just we need more. We need to see more.
Yeah, you just have to enjoy the little nuggets and like the little Easter eggs that you can find, and the connections to episode 2 and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, or just enjoy it for a fun story where she's getting closer to the Bad Batch, and we're going to watch that relationship continue to build and then be surprised along the way. I mean, I like this. It's something Mark Hamill used to say. It's something I think Dave Filoni's a fan of, which is keep us in the dark. We like do not let us know. God, if we would have known about Luke Skywalker showing up in The Mandalorian, if that would have leaked,
it would have ruined it.
It would have ruined it, man. It would have ruined it. So like there is something. Yeah. There's a big secret here, I think. And we can try to speculate about it. We can throw out a lot of different factions and groups that are communicating with Fennec Shan and say, hey, who's after this kiddo, and what's it going to take to combat that group of people? And you got the Bad Batch around Omega, but I just don't think it goes well for Omega, or like for any of them. Like the Empire is in full on, like they're in control, and I don't really know where this would go, to where it would benefit, where they would end up winning in some way, unless Omega just joins up with the rebellion, which she might.
Yeah.
So.
Let me see here. So here's what we know. Series composer Kevin Kiner says that the music in the Star Wars in the finale to the Bad Batch was enough to make him cry.
Is it just the music was really sad, or were there
I
things...
wonder the interesting thing though is they say the Bad Batch finale, not the Bad Batch season finale.
Yeah, is this just one season? Just one thing?
It might be.
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe.
I've been
I
thinking it
think
was
you'd
hard
want
to
to have some sort of. I think you'd want to have some sort of animated show for kids. I mean, with everything they're doing. Oh, who knows? They're rearranging stuff because big rumor right now is Rangers of the New Republic is canceled. So
Yeah. I've always found it hard to believe that they were even doing this show. I didn't know. Again, this is all original stuff. It's a you know, Omega's an original character that they have a purpose and a plan for, and they're using the Bad Batch to guide us to that. It's brand new, man. It's brand spanking new. It's awesome. But I just didn't think you could, it would be a 3, 4, 5 season thing.
wow. Well, here's
Oh
some
God, is
speculation
this a
as to
spoiler?
what to happen. No, it's just speculation
Okay.
because it actually raises some good. Actually, it raises some really good questions. Maybe the Bad Batch survives, but wow, this is really dark. Okay.
Okay.
This is a speculation here on Nerdist. This is Nerdist saying, what if the Bad Batch ends with the wholesale slaughter of the entire clone army? They won't lose in battle, heroically or otherwise. The Empire will simply dispose of them, and because of Order 66, they probably won't even fight it. Their brains wired to fully accept all orders. Like Crosshair keeps saying, good soldiers follow orders.
Wow. So would it just be would they just issue something to the chip that would kill them all? Is that what you're saying? Like they would just fall over?
Or they just go in no, I think the Empire just goes in and shoots them all or something. Basically,
Wow.
Order 66, the clones.
Wow.
To be like it's time to move on or something.
That sounds terrible. And also,
What happens to them though? I think mostly we've thought just the clones just get phased out, but
yeah.
ultimately, what does happen? We don't really know what happens to them. We just think, oh, they get phased out, but that getting phased out could mean a lot of things.
So I didn't read a whole lot of the Darth Vader comic series, but there is some, where Vader comes across some of the clone troopers. It seems like they get sent to like kind of almost like way far away, like really less desirable postings, and they're really kind of just sent out and almost forgotten. And he comes across some of them early on when he's still trying to become Lord Vader and all this kind of stuff and hunting down Jedi, but he comes across clones. Right. So they're still around for a time.
I mean, they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, right, but I mean, they're still supposed. I mean, obviously, if Rex is still alive by the time Rebels is around, I mean, there were billions of them, and it seems like there's a heck of a lot of them after Order 66 and the droids are shut down, and they're so it's like they're no longer really being killed in combat anymore. I mean, it seems like there should be billions of these people still out there. You'd think we'd run across some of them, so maybe they are phased out, to put it in the same way the Jedi were.
That's dark. That is some dark stuff.
Order 66 is dark. I mean,
yeah, it is dark. Yeah, for sure. So I just want to bring up one thing. I was just trying to look up some, just different thoughts and theories on this. Some people have said, I guess it was season 3, episode 1 of Clone Wars, Clone Cadets. Yeah. Lama Su reports to Shaak Ti that Jango Fett's DNA has become degraded and overused, and that they should, bring in that alternative genetic template. And so whatever that alternative genetic template is that was brought in is what Omega has come from. And I think that they say it again, though, in Bad Batch, that maybe whatever that alternative is, that's also used up or has become void in some way, and they can't use it. So yeah, I don't know if they're looking for another specimen or if Omega is just that important that they only got kind of one They're still working, tinkering with that, and she's one of the first from that alternative. Because then you wonder. I'm gonna ask you this question, Matt: are there other Omegas? You know, are there a batch of Omegas that are gonna walk? Because Omega gonna walk back onto Camino or somewhere else and see herself and lined up in all these different tubes. You know what I mean? She's a clone of something, someone. Why wouldn't we see maybe more of her? You know?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point.
Be kind of
But it doesn't seem
scary.
like they've done a lot of the. Well, we don't know. We don't know, but it doesn't seem like they've done a lot of these sort of bad batch, these specially designed things. Because I mean, how many are there more hunters out there as well? But it is a good point because it's like, well, you've made literally billions of other clones, and you've only made 5 special ones out of the millions, and probably I don't know how many clones were made, but I do think it's in the billions, isn't it, of clones that were
maybe
that were made.
Millions,
You've only made
sure.
5 special, 6 if you count Jango, or if you count Boba, so 6 special clones out of
Yeah. Here's something interesting. The aging process. So if you go based upon that timeline, the season 3, episode 1, Clone Wars episode, Clone Cadets, if that after that season, whether it's season 4, even if they bring in a new template and create Omega looks to be about 10 years old. So they're saying that the aging process, that they've almost double sped Omega, and that Omega has been sped up more than your normal clone, and that she may even be growing faster or just was accelerated to a particular age, unlike Boba Fett, who was not given that treatment. So that's kind of interesting. I thought maybe that they hadn't altered her or that they hadn't sped her up, but this person's kind of suggesting that it's possible. So yeah, and a lot of people think she's
all right. Well, okay, you're right. I was way off in my numbers. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Lama Su tells Obi-Wan that they've created 200,000 units with 1 million more on the way. Units is taken to mean individual clone troopers, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is. But that's sort of the assumption. So in the Republic Commando novel, the size of the clone army has increased to 3 million men. That's the following year. That obviously is no longer canon, but I think it's still probably a decent sort of reference point. So you're saying, so we're probably at we're probably at maybe like, I don't know, 10 million max or something. I don't know. I mean, the Clone Wars goes on for what, 3 years or so. So
wow.
So you're talking maybe about like 5-6 million, not billions. Okay. I thought they were cranking them out. My bad.
Oh no, yeah, yeah, that's fine. So let me here's something.
But millions in a galaxy is not nearly as much. Plus, some of them die. As I thought there were like hundreds of millions, but I was incorrect.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Out of all of those millions you just mentioned, you have the Bad Batch, and there are 5 members, right? Is that right?
Right. 6 if you count Boba Fett as sort of like an altered clone, that would be 6 total altered clones that we know of.
Yeah. So yeah, and if you look just at the Bad Batch and you say there's 5, people are theorizing that Omega is one of 5 of herself. That there are right. 5 other altered Omegas, and that they may be different than
or maybe 4, because that means there would be
4.
That means there would be 4, right? Because Echo is a regular clone who's been enhanced, I guess. Yeah.
Huh. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. So yeah, there's an idea. I just think it'd be cool if she came across some of her own and has to kind of deal with that. Like, oh, wow, there was more of me and they kept this from me. And, but why would they? If she's been on Camino her whole life, why wouldn't she know about the other individuals who, especially if she's a medical assistant, you think she would?
She knows all about them, which is,
yeah.
She knows all about them, which is crazy.
Yeah. Huh. And also, if she's a clone, maybe she's a direct clone is there a Jedi or is there someone who we lost that was a female Jedi or like
Well,
Satine? I mean, is she a direct clone of someone else? You know what I mean? Like, because you have
right.
Jango Fett and then those guys, all the clone troopers, right? They are literally direct. They are
Well,
duplicates.
Satine is really interesting because keep in mind they went with a Mandalorian to clone. So I think it's more likely that she would be a clone of another Mandalorian if we just had to take a guess. Not saying that is the case, but it just assuming, well, it could be she could be a Satine clone.
Hmm.
Um
Yeah.
I mean, how many other female Mandalorian, I don't, it's just, why would you clone her? How would you go get her? Did she ever go there? What's sort of the story as to why you would clone her? Because she's the only female clone potentially of Jango Fett that we know of.
Yeah, that's big potential. I
Why
mean,
make a female? Why make a female? I mean, when you've literally made 1.8, how 3 to 5 million clones of Jango Fett, you make 4 at least Bad Batch clones, and then you make 1 female.
mhm.
I mean, like, let's just see what happens. Like, we've only done this 3 million times, but you know what? Let's just see what happens and see if we can make a female. So I do think there's something there.
Yeah. Yep. It'd just be interesting to see
What if
who
she's
this.
not? What if she is a regular? Or not, what if she's Boba's sister? Like, what if Jango Fett, before he died, which I think could still happen, if you look at the timeline, I think she would be old enough to be at that age. Um, was like, I want a sister, I want a girl too.
Hmm.
I want a sister because I'll have a son and I'll have a daughter. Because he could have ordered
Yeah.
that before he dies. If he orders that as early as episode 2 or just there before, well, then she could be Boba's sister, which would make sense if Boba is the one asking Finnick to go get her, because maybe Boba found out.
Hmm.
Because then you have Alpha, which is Boba, and Omega, which is Omega.
Yeah. That'd be cool. That would be really cool.
And it would give us total cause to see her show up in the Book of Boba, which is coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there's gonna be a tie-in. It just makes me now that would make sense. Yeah, if Boba is interested in Omega, then I do kind of get it. Because my other big hiccup with this is like, how did it get out of Camino? If she's been locked in there and she's stayed, how does the information about this individual being this important get out to bounty hunter guilds or whatever, or to other bounty
Right.
hunters? You know what I mean? Unless they're hired by either Camino or Boba Fett, or Tarkin gets into the system and figures out they have something special here that I should look into. That's the only groups I think that are the only people who I think would be kind of behind this, just the only ones who make sense. So, yeah, because no one at Crimson Dawn has, unless they've gone on there and gotten like intel, or they've infiltrated the Camino records and figured this out. She's like a top secret. I mean, even though she's there as a medical assistant walking around, they're only talking to Tarkin about her abilities and how she's enhanced and all that good stuff. They're not really, it's not public knowledge or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking, trying to see if there's really anything. Not really. Although, if you look at the old Jango Fett comic, which is really interesting, you get to see Jango Fett's mother and his sister. And there is a striking resemblance between Jango Fett's sister. I'll send you a link here. Or I'll put it in our Zoom chat here. This is from Reddit. They just happen to have, fortunately, that picture pasted. If you look at it, it looks quite similar to that Jango Fett comic, which actually they pulled a lot from. Dave Filoni actually made a lot of that Jango Fett comic canon because it was decanonized right? And then it kind of sort of got canonized when they said no, Jango was a real person. Like, is Jango is a Mandalorian, because he is. He gets his armor from a Mandalorian. He's a foundling. Jango is a foundling.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boba is a clone, you know. So, because remember, Bo-Katan kind of questions his ability to be a Mandalorian. She's a clone,
Right. I'm sitting over here now looking at like the hair color, the eye color, brown eyes, blonde hair.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Jango, brown eyes, dark brown, black hair. Like, what the heck? I don't know, man.
So maybe
I'm stumped. Just stumped.
Or maybe it was Boba. Maybe it was Jango's plan to have a daughter, and this is the final clone, Omega, the final clone. And so they said, we'll make one, make a female clone for him.
Yeah, but then you think there has to be something extra special, though. There's something else, right? It's not just that she's female.
I'm
sure
there's
more.
Yeah, I do think she has an ability. Yes.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, my God, you look at you look at Boba Fett compared to some of the other clones. I mean, Hunter's a boss, but I don't think Hunter's taken Boba Fett in combat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he's you
know what I mean? And Hunter technically is an enhanced version of Jango Fett.
Mm-hmm.
So he should actually theoretically be better than Jango.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, yeah. Definitely better at tracking.
But do you think Hunter could take Hunter could take Boba in a fight? I don't know. Not after I saw Boba Fett and Mandalorian. I don't know, man.
I know right now. And that's the other thing too, is maybe if Boba's not ready, or not developed enough to take on the Bad Batch, maybe you do hire Fennec if he's the one behind the hiring.
Right.
Maybe that's possible.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, like when they're trying to assassinate Padme, Zam Wessel is actually hired by Jango Fett. So if Fennec is mirroring Zam Wessel, they look almost like they look alike. Their style of dress is the same whole thing. So who was behind Zam Wessel? Jango Fett. So who's behind Fennec Shand? If it is Boba Fett, that's totally mirroring. We didn't get that silhouette kind of him flying off with his jetpack like they did in episode 2, but there's enough there to make you think about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, guys. That's really, that's really all I've got. I cannot think anymore about Omega. I just need more episodes to come out because, good God, I don't have any idea. It's just got me old mind boggled.
Mm-hmm. But that picture is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, from the comic book. Yeah, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay. All right, guys. Well, hey, this is kind of we've watched 4 episodes of The Bad Batch. 1 episode, I guess, kind of counted as 2. We're excited to see more, and we will, once we get more, we can dissect a little bit more. I mean, so far it's good. It's just we're still waiting for that one sort of, okay, now we can really kind of speculate. It's hard to speculate on breadcrumbs here. We need a little piece. I need a little bit bigger piece of the pie.
Yeah, I know, man. We need more of it, and hopefully, we'll get it each and every Friday. A little piece here and there, and if you've got a piece of that pie and you've got some ideas, I'm telling you, send them in, because we're running dry over here on ideas. I am like plumb out of them. So.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, hey, we want to thank you as always for listening, guys. Stay tuned, because man, let me just say, I know it feels like the ship's running on E right now, but I can tell you, here in a couple weeks, the jets are going to be turning on.
Yes, sir.
Especially old Womper at 2 meters. There's going to be a lot of Star Wars content coming your way, as we got some stuff in the shadow. So, all right, guys, as always, if you like the podcast, give us a like, subscribe on iTunes. By the way, there's supposedly some cool stuff coming to iTunes for those of you that like the podcast. would like to support the show, maybe don't want to on Patreon. It seems like Apple Podcasts getting ready to update some things, and it's going to make it a lot easier, especially for the iTunes listeners. So stay tuned for that. And remember that traveling through hyperspace ain't like dust and crops.